welcome to another edition in Real Estate Experts. As always, I'm your host Glenn Twiddle, bringing you leading experts from around the country and around the world to help you, the home seller, traverse the minefield that is the Australian property market. If it's got to do with building wealth through property, selling a home for top dollar, we've got you covered. And today, I'm honoured to be bringing you one of the top agents. In fact, one of my colleagues said that they've looked up to Ian Barnes as a mentor for most of their career. So Ian Barnes, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, mate.
Thanks very much, Glenn.
So mate, in your book, before we get to talking about the results you get for your real estate clients and all those people you've helped so well, your reputation's a mile long, mate, you've got to tell me about the Depadussen. Tell me what that is and how that relates, because mate, that's fascinating, that thing.
When I was about 16, I was in the Air Force Cadets, and the aeroplane that the Royal Australian Air Force purchased back 100 years ago was a Depadussen. It's basically a big kite with wheels on it or whatever. That was the Royal Australian, it was 2/5 of the Royal Australian Air Force.
Right.
We invented this management theory called the Depadussen theory, which was simply that if you were a native in the middle of the jungle and you'd never seen technology before, you'd never been exposed to man, and a Depadussen flew over, you would believe that was the most technological, advanced invention on the history of the earth. You'd think it was something from the gods. And it's all relative. It's only because you hadn't seen an F-111 before. Right. An F-111 flies in at below the radar level and flies back with afterburners at twice the speed of sound. The point was it shatters the Depadussen out of the water as the most technological thing in the world. So everything's relative. Everything's the best until they see something better. And that's my principle of real estate and principle of life, that everything is relative until you've seen and experienced the best.
And we've certainly seen that in the real estate space, that not all agents are created equal. So I guess that leads to my first question, really. You're known for having these 6 critical factors about how to choose a good real estate agent. And that's for any of our viewers, who aren't lucky enough to live in the riverside suburbs down where you work. So tell us what those 6 critical factors are that our viewers in Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane, how can they choose and find the Ian Barnes of their area?
Great, thanks. Good question, Glenn. I think number one, and it's a real big one, it's right at the very top of the list, it's trust or reputation. In other words, what do people say about the agent, Glenn? What are they known for? Are they an agent that's honest and straight up? Are they someone you would trust with a set of keys to your home? Would you trust them to negotiate your most valuable asset? Because you're not going to be there watching them, so it's all about trust. And the other thing is, would the agent cut corners to do a deal? In other words, if they were fighting for you, for your life, is that the person you would want to do it? So I think it's critical.
Definitely. And so mate, my next question is around marketing. How important is it? And tell us about how you use your marketing to achieve those results you're achieving and you're renowned for.
Okay. I think this is a big one as well. Is the agent proactive or passive? Now you can tell by people's manner, but real estate is a game where you really have to make something happen, Glenn. The passive agents are the ones that are very casual, sometimes part-time, very laid back. They'll be happy just to let things roll along on their own. You can see it. You see some listings just sit there so long the white ants are eating the legs off the for sale sign. The internet never changes. Nothing ever changes. It's just more the same, more the more.
Well, it sounds like we probably don't even need the agent there. They're merely facilitating a sale that was going to happen anyway rather than making it happen.
An order taker or a lazy agent or whatever. I think a seller needs a highly proactive agent, someone that's known for making things happen, someone that will initiate communication, someone that will come up with action plans and suggestions when things aren't working right. In other words, you need to try to drive the agenda and make something happen. That's what the seller pays you to do. They want you to bring energy, ideas and proactivity into the equation.
Yeah, agreed. And you mentioned that sometimes you see these things sitting there for a protracted period of time. Sometimes these things can take months, even. I've seen them on the market for years. Tell us about how that relates to the days on market. Should we be looking for those agents that get a quick sale?
Of course. I work in an area where some properties can sit on the market for years.
Wow.
The average days on market in one of the areas I work is approaching 300 days. Now that's the average time to not sell. And just think about that. Imagine being an owner on the market for 10, 11, 12, 15, 24 months. Imagine your whole life being on hold. Because I'm guessing people come on the market because they have a plan to get on with their life. Yeah. Imagine a whole year of your life. And so we see it all the time. So I'm all about systems, process, telling the truth about price, and doing whatever we need to do to help the owner get moved. Why? Because I know, Glenn, that property is worth the absolute maximum dollar the very first day it comes on the market. And every month that goes by, that value of that property is eroding by the day.
Yeah, it's a declining return, isn't it?
Buyers know that if it doesn't sell in the first 60 odd days, it's probably overpriced. And so it's almost reckless for an agent to allow a property to sit stagnant on the market and become stale like it does after that amount of time.
Yeah, agreed. And not that I want to get into it, because I know that in your book you go into this in great detail, so I will get cheeky. I will get cheeky for our viewers and hit you up for a copy in a moment. But I know in your book you go into this in great detail, but tell us about what you mean by a clearance rate and things like list to sell ratios. What are you meaning by those, and what should our viewer be on the lookout for?
If an agent lists 10 properties, Glenn, and sells 5, right, that means half the stuff that he lists he doesn't sell. The clearance rate is the success rate, if you like, of selling your listings. And so the best agents have a very, very high clearance rate. In other words, does the agent just collect your listing to add it to a portfolio of stock to make them look busy, to make them look successful, or are they using your listing to sell off other stock, right? Or do they take your listing and then hand pass you to a junior lieutenant and you never see them again?
Right.
Or are they fully dedicated to servicing you and getting you sold? I'm all about being the latter. We won't take a listing on, Glenn, unless I'm 100% convinced that I can help that seller get moved on in a reasonable amount of time.
Wow, I love that you're arming our viewers with some of the hard questions to be asking their agents.
Sure.
Very nice. And so, mate, I've seen your track record a mile long. Tell us about how those success stories of getting those happy clients sold, should agents like you have client after client after client singing their praises, I suppose testimonials, so to speak?
Thanks, Glenn. It's one of my most passionate subjects here. I heard early in my career that the only qualification that a real estate agent has is really testimonials.
Yeah.
In other words, happy clients. And I know agents that have been working in my area for years, some for decades, and they say they have happy clients. Now, I've looked at all the websites of all of my competitors, and sure, recently some of them have started putting a few up. So after 15 or 20 years, some of them have got 3 testimonials on their website.
That's not the best strike rate.
Most of them are very general. They've got no details, no dates, no names.
Yeah, sometimes you wonder about that when you see the initials and you think, come on, man, did you write that? Or
No photographs.
Yeah,
we go into explicit detail. So I've got names, addresses, photos, dates. I've got hundreds of them, Glenn. I've been collecting them for over a decade.
Yeah.
I just am so passionate about it. If you do a good job and your client is absolutely blown away and would happily recommend you, then surely they'd be prepared to say so.
Nothing to hide.
We love video, we love written testimonials, online, social media reviews, we do the whole lot.
So they're the things to be on the lookout for.
Absolutely.
So is that the only way to kind of measure the agent's track record and their market knowledge? It's certainly one of the most important ones, I would imagine.
Glenn, an agent needs to be on the ground, and so I truly believe that the best agents are in fact local. There's just something that comes from living. Does the agent live in the area? Have they worked the area for a long period of time? Are they passionate about it? Do their kids go to the schools there? Do they live in the local community? Do they know the lifestyle? I think when we're selling to buyers, we really need to be tuned in to what the advantages of that area is. And I think the local agents will have a passion. There's hardly a property that comes onto the books in our area that I don't probably know the house. I can probably describe the letterbox. I know how many trees are out the front. I probably know who bought it last. I probably know the year they bought it, and I probably know what they paid for it.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't say I'd know that for 2,500 homes, but I reckon a good 70-80% of them,
Wow.
I would know that just by knowing my market. And that's the level of detail and passion. Buyers and sellers alike benefit from that. Buyers know they're dealing with a formidable, experienced agent, and sellers know they've got someone that's got the armoury of experience and knowledge that they can use to the seller's advantage.
Yeah, which is, again, at the end of the day, that's what we're engaged for, is to get that seller the highest price. It feels like sometimes the agents think their job is to facilitate a deal no matter what, but it's to get that seller the top 10, that extra 10, 20, 50, $100,000 in their pocket.
I think those people are called order takers, Glenn, and we're certainly all about maximising the seller experience. The seller is in fact our client.
Yep.
In fact, I would argue without the seller we don't have a real estate business.
That's right.
So no, there's no grey area there for me.
And so, mate, it leads to my next question about marketing. How important is it? And tell us about how you use your marketing to achieve those results you're achieving and you're renowned for.
Thanks for that question, Glenn. In fact, my answer is going to be a little bit left field.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into the specifics of marketing because I don't actually believe that's the difference. The difference is not the toolbox. The difference is not in the list of things that I can throw at it. Let's face it, anyone can hire a professional photographer,
Right.
including the seller. They can do it privately. Anyone can do a video. Anyone can stick a floor plan up.
And yet you're renowned for those things.
I am renowned for that, but these are ever evolving. When I started in real estate, one of the principles that I learned early in the piece said, anyone who uses a website will not be successful.
Wow, how's that looking now?
They're out of business.
Yeah.
I believe it's in the art form. So you have the science and you have the art. And so here's the difference. I regard myself as a real estate artist. Now, I want to tell you a story. It's a true story. It's about a famous opera. And there was a violinist playing there. And there was a lady sitting up in the front that was listening to the violinist. And she was moved to tears. And after the performance, she went up to the violinist and she says, I'd give my life to be able to play like that. To which the violinist said, I did.
Oh, wow.
And that's so it is with marketing and so it is with real estate. The best real estate agents are master practitioners. Sure, they've got all the same tools as their other agents, but it's the finesse, it's the skill and the sophistication to know. I know you play guitar, Glenn.
Not so well, but I've been known to pick one up.
If I picked up your guitar and I started making the movements of a guitarist, I would be offensive. Probably somebody would even want to bash me.
I've been accused of that myself.
My point is the difference wasn't the guitar. The difference is in the artist.
I have seen Phil Emmanuel pick up my son's little half guitar thing, and he made that thing sound, incredible. So,
Yes.
Agreed.
So
nice analogy.
Yeah. So the difference there, I guess, is that I am so passionate about constantly fine-tuning and finessing the art form to the benefit of the client. I write my own ad copy. I won't fob that off. Outsource it, I think, is the word.
Yes.
And sure, there are ad professionals that can do that. But I believe that I need to have enough skill that I can quickly size up a property, have a meeting with the seller, do a thorough diagnosis, and I can put some words together that will beautifully describe that property so that I can engage and find the right buyer. So it's the passion of the art form, I guess, is the answer.
So it's finding, for our viewers all around the country and all around the world,
An
it's
artist.
finding an agent who's an artist with their marketing chops.
Someone who's passionate about it, someone
Very
that's
nice.
in here.
Nice, excellent. So mate, like in the industry right now, it seems like we've got some agents that seem like they're going to charge a year or two's salary to engage an agent. Some agents seem they'll work for free, and then everywhere in between. Tell us about how we traverse that minefield. Are we saving money if we go with one of those cheaper guys? Like, what do we do? How do we make sense of that equation?
It's a really good question, Glenn. There's two ways to answer it. If you're comparing two really average agents or two really bad agents, then yes, go with the cheapest fee you can get.
Or do it yourself.
Correct. That's right. And I would say the cheap agents are expensive if they're free.
Yeah.
Let me explain. If you employ a master practitioner,
An artist.
someone who's at the top of their game, a sales master, and these guys that have put 10,000 hours into their craft and are at the top of their game, they don't cost you anything because the difference in the sale price is 5 to 10%, and the agent fees are nowhere near 10%.
Yeah.
Okay. Another way of saying it is this, and I've seen it all the time, anecdotally, and you hear about it. A poorly handled negotiation will cost a seller 10 to 20% of the value of their home.
Wow.
Easily.
So on most properties that, the everyday Australian, that's still $50,000 to $100,000 perhaps.
That's absolutely right. And so a good agent is an insurance policy. They don't cost you anything. Now, if you bought a $100,000 motor car, you wouldn't hesitate to insure it. Not because you're a bad driver. You don't insure a car because you think you're going to crash it. You insure it because it's valuable and you want to be certain that there's no downside, if you like, of losing that value. With a home, $500, $1 million, $2 million, you would insure the value of it by not underselling. So you need to employ a master practitioner. Find the best agent you can find, pay them whatever they're worth, right? And they will add value because they'll maximise the sale of the property 5 to 10% higher than an average agent.
And what I love about our industry, mate, is a seller doesn't have to accept until they're happy with the price. So really, most agents, if you're talking about a master practitioner, they're earning their commission as opposed to just asking for it.
Absolutely right. Then I just know three things. I know this in my heart of hearts. So it's not about the number. It's never about, it's not never. Sometimes there is reasons the seller can't sell below a certain price. It's mostly not about the number. Seller just needs to believe in their heart that, number one, the agent has done absolutely everything that they can to bring the market to the property. Number two, they have to believe that They are in fact looking at the highest price that's in today's market. The agent's worked hard, but the last thing the seller wants to know is there's no money on the table. So if the agent can demonstrate all of those three things, sellers are usually delighted. And the problem is most agents aren't very good at demonstrating those things to the seller.
Yeah. Tell us about communication. I've read in your book about communication, the art thereof. Tell us about the importance of it and why it's important.
Glenn, I think that after trust, which trust is always number one, communication is quite probably number two. It's one of the biggest complaints sellers make in our industry about agents, that they don't know what's going on. They didn't hear from the agent. Showed the property last Monday. I still don't know what's happening. Is my home being open today? I better go and buy the newspaper and see if it's in there. Shocking, you know. We regard it as a culture in our office, and we say this and we're passionate about it. If the seller ever has to ring us, we've already lost the plot.
Wow.
So in other words, we initiate communication.
You talked about proactivity before.
Correct, and we're thinking all the time, what would the seller be thinking right now? Where are they at? What are their needs? Let's fulfill that question with some communication now. That might be a phone call, might be an email, might be an SMS, might be a letter, might be a face-to-face visit. But our communication model is multi-faceted to meet the needs of all the sellers, and it's timely. So we don't barrage them with 58 letters in the first week, but it's been fine-tuned, and we constantly ask for feedback from the sellers what they want, and we customise it.
And there's the benefit of that 10, 15-year learning curve that your current people would now have the benefit of because you've already tailored it.
We like to think we're famous for communication, but it's a common theme that all our sellers say that you guys are on top of it, and really proud of that part of our business model, Glenn.
Wonderful. It's certainly what our viewers should be on the lookout for. Very nice. So Ian, it's pretty well known, and in fact sometimes not by the viewers, that it's easier to get into real estate than it is to drive a cab, than it is to cut hair. A lot of these things have a couple of years as an apprenticeship and all of that. Whereas real estate, you can get your license and be up and selling people's most valuable asset within a week. Tell us about the importance of professional development and what should we be on the lookout for that our agent's done, or in some cases hasn't done.
This is a big one. I'm really passionate about it, Glenn. Yeah. Glenn, if you were going to train for the Olympics, if your goal was to win an Olympic medal, you would hire the best coaches and best people that were available. You'd get them. If you were going to be successful in losing weight and getting fit, you would employ fitness coaches, nutrition coaches and all the rest. If you want to be a great real estate agent, you've got to invest in yourself. So the best agents go internationally if required, interstate. They look for and find the best coaches. They get a mentor. They learn from the best. They model the people that are where they want to be. And I've done that my whole career. I've done, like your good self, done the Tony Robbins, come to the Glenn Twiddle training. You do the ARIC seminars. You go to where the best congregate, you learn from the best, you constantly evolve and you constantly commit to investing in yourself. Passionate about it more than anyone else I know in the real estate space in my market. There might be others, but I don't think any of them spend time and money on personal development is what I do.
Yeah, so we've got to look for those agents that have done just that.
Look for the guys
Should we be asking them? Should we be saying, what have you done?
What's the latest book you've read on negotiation?
Yeah.
What seminars? Who's your coach? Who's your mentor? Some of them are going to they already know it all. Yeah. And that's fine. They're probably not people that I'm being mentored by at the moment. But no, the guys that are hungry are always looking to get better, always looking to learn.
So you've talked about in your book, and a few times during this interview we've popped up there where someone can get a free copy of it, so I'm really grateful for you offering that to our people. But in the book you talk about a common trap that you've seen potential sellers fall for. Tell us about what that is. Give us a little bit more info.
Price, asking price. Agent might be either very vague on price or quite optimistic. It's seductive.
Isn't that natural though? Shouldn't we be optimistic about the price?
Absolutely. Optimistic though has to have some a business, a rationale or some structure behind it. I mean, I could tell you how home's worth $3 million, Glenn, for your little one-bedroom apartment out, in the boondocks.
I'm excited.
But there's no point being sanguine about this. There needs to be a business structure. There needs to be a process. And I'm the most optimistic person I know. But me being optimistic isn't going to, if the asking price is ridiculous, that's not the answer either. So I suggest to sellers we've got to take price out of the equation, appoint an agent based on factors they can control, like marketing, like process, like systems, and not things that they can't control. The agent doesn't control the market, the agent doesn't control the sentiment, the agent doesn't control the competition, the other properties that are there. So be very business-minded about it and come up with a plan. Appoint an agent based on other criteria that we've said, take price out of the equation. It's almost a guaranteed happy outcome if you do that.
Yeah, cool. So I've heard you talk about in other interviews and in other media your secret weapons that you've got. Give us one or two of those.
Oh, just a couple. We have a few, but I'd say my buyer database. I've invested heavily in customising a buyer database system. It's the most advanced and customised one that I'm aware of on the planet.
And certainly with your track record, it's a large database too.
Sure.
Anyone who's buying property there, they're on there.
A lot of the properties I've got buyers going through within minutes of it being listed. I've got offers and selling $2 million homes 6 days after it comes on market, in a market where a lot of the stuff sits around for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. Wow. And we're often selling those at great prices because we've got the buyers, we know the buyer's getting a sneak preview opportunity, and often that's the heart buyer, that's the premium buyer. So that's a great advantage to my sellers. Second one is, I think, is my risk reversal guarantee. There is no risk when sellers come with me, Glenn. I only work with sellers that want me to work with them. If at any stage during the agreement they're not 100% happy, if we can't sort that out, I'm happy to release a seller. Now I can tell you hand on heart that's never happened, but it guarantees I can't take the seller for granted. So too many often you hear of handcuff listing agreements where sellers are really unhappy.
And they're locked in for
but
3
they're
or 4
stuck.
months.
That would never happen. If someone ever felt that way, I'd be happy to let them go. And you know what? Keep your reputations intact. Seller's happy, I'm happy, we move on. Fortunately, it doesn't happen because we don't take our clients for granted.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you can find an agent, if our viewer can find the agent that won't lock them into some contractual binding agreement without a way to get out, maybe that's the time to look for the Ian Barnes of their area, of course. They can't all be lucky enough to have you, mate. Well, I really thank you for having some time and spending with us today, mate. And thanks again for allowing our viewers to get a copy of your book. Thanks so much, mate. And folks, that is another edition of Real Estate Experts in the Can. I hope that was informative for you, as it even was for me. I've had a lot of people on this show, and that was fantastic. So guys, until next time, another episode of Real Estate Experts will be coming your way. Until then, folks, bye for now.
I think the thing that I really appreciated the most was the speed of the sale. The fact that it was sold so quickly. And I knew somehow that you've had life experience, and then from that life experience you also had compassion. And that was really, really invaluable. You did describe yourself as a bit hard-nosed, but I think that was necessary to get the price, and it was the right price for me. It was a price that I was hoping for, and you got it, you achieved it. So I'm very, very grateful.
Sold my house in 2 days, so I'm very happy.
He's fully sending me emails the whole time because he wants to travel. And Costa Rica is high on our list. It looks a fabulous place. And also France, get a chateau and have people come and visit. So to do some of that dream stuff, it's just such a feeling of freedom and loving where we are. Absolutely loving it. Well, I've seen you at some home opens, and also a friend of ours had said that you were spot on bloke, professional, in there, gave you an honest price, nothing inflated, no, just good price to sell on the market, and we wanted that, we wanted to sell. So it was a no-brainer to check you out, see what you had to say, and it's just been a pleasure, absolute pleasure. I think you exceeded it a bit because communication and that, which is really important to me, was top notch. If there was ever any, I never phoned you, I don't think ever. You were onto it before I had a query, which was good, really, really good. I thought that was exceptional, really good. I think we got out, everyone else was sitting there, oh my God, home ovens, and we're really, really pleased. I think it was a really good sale. Managed to find someone. I love the fact that you change your marketing technique all the time. You start off and you give something a go, and then you've just got this endless, because I thought way back that, oh that's it, you've exhausted avenues, and then you come up with something else. And so it was always alive. Sometimes it's just like you put an ad in the paper or on the internet and it just stays there. Stale after about 5 weeks, you know, and people just said ours was reinvented to continue on. If they want a professional that's committed and enthusiastic and honest and not inflated prices, but not cutting you out of your money either, you know, an honest appraisal. You know the market so well. It's good. Everything was perfect.
We've heard of his good reputation and he's true to his word. He's very prompt, professional, and what he says, he doesn't hold anything back. He tells the truth. He tells how it is.
You know, we're very thrilled with Ian. Very pleased. We'd certainly use him again to either buy or sell. And yes, we can't fault it, the company or Ian.
No, he's done good by us, and we wish him well for future sales. I'm sure he'll do very well with his attitude.
We decided we'd sell through Ian, and nothing was too much trouble for Ian and his wonderful staff. We thought that it was so good of Ian he doesn't miss a thing, and his paperwork, and he's so thorough with his office work that we thought that no wonder he's so successful, you know. I would recommend Ian, I would really recommend Ian because of the personal approach that he has. He sits down and he itemises everything that he's going to do. Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
Well, I found Ian really helpful. He also listened very carefully to how much we wanted to do, and ideally we're prepared to do, and so he helped structure everything around that, which for me took the pressure off because it's a high pressure time and plenty to do, but I did feel that there was a good plan and a good way forward, and so I didn't feel perhaps as stressed out as I would do without some good direction.
The video was really effective. I think that was well received and had a large part in the successful sale. A huge relief, I think. First, we went into the process not knowing what to expect, either in terms of price or time, but plenty of signs that the market was difficult. So we wanted to be well prepared, and I think with your help, we were well prepared. So to achieve the results as quickly and as decisively as we did, it's just a huge relief and allows us to get on with building the new house.
Without a shadow of a doubt, would recommend Ian to sell your property, and have already talked to friends about it and say don't bother with anybody else.
Ian helped us sell a house about 2 months ago now. Very good. We sold it very quickly, got a good price, and had a good experience. He was offering a pretty comprehensive service. He obviously did a lot of research, which is how we first got to see him, and that was good. He knows the market. We needed someone that understood the market. It's kind of hard to value a house, but Ian obviously had a lot of research going on. I think in this area he's second to none, so absolutely we had a good experience, and if someone else wants a recommendation, I'd be very happy to do that for you. Yeah.
It was really a 5-star experience, and I guess the thing that made us most happy was that we got the price we wanted in a fairly short time frame. I guess the fact that you never let us down, you always answered to your word, and I guess you delivered the results that we were asking for. I guess you just gave us the confidence that you could sell it for the price that we were expecting. I definitely recommend Evolution and yourself. Wouldn't hesitate using you again ourselves, and yeah, anyone at all that wanted to have a reference at all, we would definitely give you a very high rating, and I've certainly got some friends that are keen to use you in the future as well.
We currently have a property listed for sale for Ian.
Yes, and how are you finding the whole experience?
I absolutely love the predictability of his systems and processes.
Yeah.
Ian's done a fabulous job. I met Ian through my sister, who has known Ian for 16 years or more, from buying properties as well. So And yeah, through that we decided we would have the end to our selling for our mum's property when she passed away. So no, it's great. Yeah.
Around 3 years ago we bought and sold through Ian. So initially we bought the property we're currently in, and because we were really impressed with the service, we then decided to choose him to sell our property. Just very efficient and professional. So and that's what I said to my husband. I said buying through Ian was really straightforward, no nonsense. So why don't we try selling through him? And it went equally as well. So all good.